So we stand in front of Dollar Tree and basically
such as this thing here.
All right, I'm excited to have a guest.
Metal right here, of course. Everyone is.
Cuba is like they're under a dictator.
RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are live for a Monday edition, the 27th day of the month of June. And hope everyone had a great weekend. Looking forward to connecting. It feels like it's been a while since we had a live stream, but definitely happy to be back. Hope everyone is well. Lots of interesting things unfolding. And I wanted to shine more light on what I consider to be the bigger picture, the political theater of the good guy, bad guy, left versus right, east versus west, like the monetary, Bloods and Crips type of situation, G7 versus the BRICS. And just walk through some things, share my 2 cents, and of course, get your take on a variety of subject matter. Lots of things happening over the last 72 hours. I'm sure a lot of people have thoughts and opinions on world events, social events, you name it. But we're going to try to cover a little bit of everything today. And I want to make sure I get a chance to let your voice be heard. So when the phone lines open up, the number 313-462-0027. We'll love to hear from you guys directly. And let's just have some fun tonight. And also, I got a couple updates, a couple things I want to put out there for the community just to further advance. I do sense that, as I mentioned, if you guys had a chance to see the video on Saturday, that the further we get along in this year, the more the censorship will definitely pick up, and I want to get ahead of the curve. And so starting next month, I'm going to do the live streams in the evenings on a completely new platform that is, not centrally controlled, gives me more access to data and being able to access and get to the community directly. Because YouTube, I think, definitely will be going through a severe crackdown pretty soon. And so I want to definitely get ahead of that. So if you're interested in joining and still remaining a part of the community, it'll be worth your while to make sure you connect with me on the RTD Locals page. So we're going to get to that. And then also, this is an opportunity for the community to speak. And so I got a couple of different ways of which I would love for you guys to participate, because I want to, use these video formats to try to do more things to engage the audience and basically share people's testimony as far as how this particular community has helped them, as well as all the other questions or whatever I'm going to throw out there, do some giveaways and things like that. So just want to be a blessing to those who have blessed me with their time and everything else. So, all right, let me start ranting. I will jump in the chat, acknowledge a couple of people. If we have any new viewers, definitely make sure you let me know where you're watching from in the chat. And as I mentioned, when the phone lines open up, we'd love to hear from you guys directly. All right, so let me check in. We got Dwayne Clark checking in. We got LBP. Let me see here. We got Joe checking in from ATL. How you doing, my friend? We got Korean Silver Stacker. Rolf. We got Dwayne. Okay, you got Very Grateful. Jeff. All right. Hopefully the algorithm, once again, and this is one of the biggest concerns, is that, you click go live. A lot of people do click the bell, but unfortunately, you may or may not get notified. So it's just that, I won't beat the algos. And so I'm not even going to try to fight them anymore. Just going to continue to plug along, still upload videos to YouTube. But ultimately, there's no future for truth speakers on a centrally controlled platform such as this. So the clock is definitely ticking. Daryl, how you doing, my man? All right. So let me jump right in, man. So before I move forward, if you have not already, because it's going to be a good show like they always are, hit that thumbs up button, show your support for the channel. And let's move right along. And so while we're still here, I want to make sure, encourage everybody, the best thing you can do, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. Hopefully you get notified. No guarantees, but there's going to be some alternatives that people can jump on. So I want to jump right into it. And so I put information down below. So starting next week, as I mentioned, I'd encourage everybody here who wants to continue to move forward with the channel, become a member on the rtd.locals.com page. It's a very unique platform. They're the creators of the Rumble platform, which I'm also there as well. So the goal is to be spread out so that there's no one single point of failure, to where I'll still be able to connect with the audience. So I encourage you guys to click the link beneath this video here, become a member. And it's designed to basically, if you are interested, to support the channel, as I mentioned before, so that I can try to do some more things and take it to the next level on my side by getting some help on my side to be able to do more interviews and more live streams. But it's hard, being a one-man show. So I can use your support with that. So feel free to be a blessing if you guys want to. But definitely late night's going to be over there, start next week. And then this is where the community comes into play. This is where I want to get you guys involved. So as you guys can see on the screen, once I widen this up here, let me see if I can, I'll zoom out some. So so as you guys can see on the screen here, this is something that I want to try out. So this is the first time I'm throwing this out there, but this is for people to have your questions answered. So what I might end up doing is before interviews, before I have RTD guests on, I would love to get your questions rather than just wait till we go live. And some people are able to make it, some people are not able to make it. But what you can do with this, the link is below. Click that little purple tab right here. And with this purple tab, you can send a short 3-minute or less video in reference to whatever questions you might want to ask, whether it's, want to ask me a question or you want to ask the guest a question. But you can do that real sweet and simple from your phone. It's just the easiest way to be able to get some interaction with the community and also get a chance to hopefully meet some people. So, but yeah, it's a great opportunity there. So get your questions asked, link down below. Definitely encourage you guys, if you want to share something, do that. And then the next one here, this one here is a chance for you guys to share a story or two. If you've been a part of the community and it's been a blessing to you in some capacity, this is another chance where you can click that purple button and give a little testimonial about what has Rethinking a Dollar and being a part of the community, how it's been a blessing to your life, and share some thoughts and whatnot. So if you like to share a testimony, then of course we will share it with the community. Feel free to click the link below and click that purple button, and you can leave a short little video clip. Definitely would love to put some of those together and then share it amongst the other people, just so people can realize that this channel has done, some good work over the last couple of years. But all right, so enough of those things there. Let's plug along. Let's get to the nitty gritty. So we've had BRICS Summit, and then what, I'm not even sure if it was pre-planned or not, but then we had the G7 Summit. So it's like, as soon as the BRICS finish up, the G7 get going. So they turn into, like I said before, like Bloods and Crips, West versus East type of situation. And the G7, it appears to be that they're scrambling because they're doing the best they can to try to make it appear as if they still have major influence over the monetary structure, even though every nation seems to be collaborating and cooperating with the BRICS nations because they have what the world needs, which is either energy, oil, or knick-knack gadgets coming out of China whenever they do. So it's like, what does the West really offer? What does the G7 nations offer other than debt, destruction, and debt? So I can see how it'd be more of an incentive to shift out east if that is the case. But once again, it's all political theater. We can't take none of this for being factual in of itself, just because at this point we can't trust nothing and nobody. But we can entertain these stories as they come our way. So let me jump right into here. So a couple of stories here. And I think this right here is more of like the propaganda that we're being told, because I've done videos before highlighting how, regardless of what we're hearing from the Eastern or Western media, Putin, as well as the Eastern media, rather, has made it clear that they have been able to provide payments for their debts because it's minimum in comparison to what the rest of the world has. But then again, as I mentioned, I think it was last 2 months ago, or about a month, no, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, how May 25th or 2/26 was the deadline where the Treasury decided to not extend the emergency payment procedure for Russia deliberately, so that they could get us to this point where we hear stories such as this, where it says Russia slides into historic debt default as payment period expires. And anybody who really is paying attention know that $100 million is not like it's going to bankrupt anybody when you have the nation with a lot of natural resources and they're in a surplus right now. So they have the funds and they've made payments in rubles, but if the payments were deposited in bank accounts for the creditor to come pick up anytime they want and do the exchange on their own dime, on their own time, if they don't come or they don't show up, that's not actually a default. That's more so a Western trap to deliberately continue to destabilize things. Like the goal in not extending this emergency measure is like, why would you not want the Western creditors that's all entangled in this debt trap to actually continue to be able to receive funds as far as the principal payments on those bonds? But they don't want the bonds. They don't want payment. They want the debt to implode so it can cause more chaos so they can blame it on Russia. So as a result of articles like this, there's going to be defaults that will trickle down from the Euro area, of course, right into the U.S. and all the other nations that that extended credit of some kind into the Euro bonds or whatnot. And it's going to be just a more mess. And that leads to the bank defaults and all the stuff we've been talking about before. But Western media, boy, I'll tell you something else. They all are on the same page to lie to us without fail. But just more noise here. So May 27th was that day that the extension was canceled. So, but once again, use Russia as the primary excuse why they destabilize the world. And so here's something else that lets me know the bigger picture. Because whenever the word gold is brought up, as more nations run to gold, I let us know that they are afraid, in my opinion, of going backwards, where Russia announces, along with China, some type of backing with something real and tangible that the West, unfortunately, just may not even have enough of to be able to make due on all those promises and obligations out there that's denominated in dollar terms. So here it says the G7 nations announce a Russia gold ban as summit starts under the shadow war. So this was as of yesterday. And so it's like, why would you ban gold from Russia if it wasn't a threat? And of course, I love how people still to this day, especially in the crypto community, I have a lot of interaction back and forth with people in the crypto community. And they love saying, gold, Bitcoin's going to eat gold's market cap. Just be patient and wait. I'm like, okay, yeah. But once again, it's no substitute for real world items when you're talking about computer code, however you look at it. But that's to everybody's own. But anyway, quick story here. It just talks about G7, how they got together and trying their best to crank up pressure on Russia however they can. So they basically admitted right here. And this is from one of the U.S. officials says, this is a key export, a key source of revenue for Russia in terms of their ability to transact with the global financial system. And so if you're sanctioning gold, the flows of it in and out, that is money. So it's funny how most people won't see it from that particular angle there, other than the people who are in the alternative media community, especially from the Austrian school of thought. Like the fact that they're sanctioning gold lets us know that that is the ultimate form of money and collateral that they're using in transaction now. And so because they're not allowed on a SWIFT messaging system, they are basically, the West is threatened by that because they can go around a computer system and just get back to dealing with real, tangible gold. So it says Russian gold exports were worth 12.6 billion pounds last year. This is from the West. It says wealthy Russians have been buying bullion to reduce the financial impact of Western sanctions. So are you really buying bullion? Or are you redeeming the fiat notes and getting back into real money? So yeah, okay. Anyway, but gold is clearly a threat. It always has been, always will be. And I think a part of this G7 push to now come together to thwart the BRICS, as well as to crank up pressure on Russia. And then there's another announcement. So let me get my article straight here. Let me find, so this is like, okay, I'm trying to figure out if all these nations are so heavily indebted, how are they able to come up with funds on the drop of a dime to combat China's Belt and Road Initiative? And so, yeah, they're just trying to cut off and trying to muck up any type of plans that do not include them, or more importantly, go around the usage of the dollar and the SWIFT system. And so here we got G7 unveils a $600 billion plan to combat China's Belt and Road Initiative. Beijing is increasing its global reach through major investments in Africa and Asia. So what this will lead to, which is quite clear and obvious, by these puppeteers. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9. I'll keep it censored here, but we have 9 people here, all representing their countries and regions. We got the ECB, we got Italy. Italy should not, Mario Draghi shouldn't even be in the picture. He need to be back in Italy where their ship is sinking. Anyway, we got all these puppets here, man. Oh man, these people are here. I would just, whew. Anyway, but they're coming together trying to do what again exactly, other than just, destabilize things. It says the United States will aim to leverage a total of $200 billion for the program over the 5 years through a combination of federal financing and private sector investments. And it amazes me how governments that are insolvent and have no real reserves or anything of assets that the world really wants other than debt notes are talking about investing. It said that adds to $300 billion already announced by the EU, along with contributions from other members. Overall, the overall target is to build a $600 billion scheme. A $600 billion scheme. The infrastructure plan was first unveiled a year ago, the G7 last year in Britain, but with little progress was made, and the program has been renamed. And so in 2021, it was dubbed the Build Back Better World. So they Build Back Better World coming from the G7 after Biden's legislative push, but the implosion of his domestic agenda has led to a new moniker, the Partnership for Global Infrastructure. That's what this is called, the Partnership for Global Infrastructure. The plan is meant to compete with China's Belt and Road Initiative, which has tried to strengthen ties with the developing world, especially Asia and Africa, by offering financing for large-scale projects such as roads, railroads, and ports. So ultimately, China was taking their dollar-denominated debt, using it to rebuild out Africa by lending, giving them loans, and having a stake or claim or ownership in those properties. And if any African nation defaulted, they get to lose their land, similar to what the IMF is doing. New system, new creditor, same system, debt. And a lot of African nations have been trapped by it. I did an article last whatever month it was about, I forgot what African country, but they're going to lose their airport and everything else because they can't meet their debt obligations. So it's unfortunate. But anyway, so it just amazes me how more and more drama is being built up by puppeteers. Here's another one. G7 leaders vow to support Ukraine for as long as it takes. And I'm thinking, like, what in the world? Like, so the Ukraine distraction is just, it's like, if people are by now don't see through that, you got Zelensky is like becoming he's like, they're going to do this upcoming Sunday, they're going to do a special national broadcast here in the U.S. with Zelensky, and they're making it some type of fundraiser for Ukraine. And they're going to probably have the call-in number, like they used to do back in the day when you see those commercials like feeding the hungry, feeding the poor, a little, 1-800 call in, and they show distressed kids and stuff like that where, it's touched on your heart. They're going to do something like that for Ukraine. And they got Zelensky, doing a video conference, and they're going to do, music, dance, and you can call and donate. And everywhere, every app you open up says, donate to Ukraine. Just, come on, man. Get out of here. Anyway, but G7 leaders will support for as long as it takes. And I even heard Boris Johnson mention that the current economic pain that they're experiencing in the UK as far as inflation, the numbers they have, he said something like, the pain is worth it so that we can help Ukraine. Something like that. Not exact quote, but it led you to believe, to hear what he was trying to get at. Like, we got pain in UK, that's okay, because we're doing a good cause in Ukraine. So, yeah, but they're not the only nation. Anyway, keep it moving. A couple more articles here, and I'll open the phone lines. We'd love to hear from everybody. I have, let me see. Okay, so outside of the G7 starting to come together and spin to counter the East, BRICS, and China and Russia, we have more nations now that are interested in becoming a part of the BRICS nation. So if that's not an indicator as to how the East, the West has really messed things up, they got nations just wanting to be part of the BRICS. So article right here, if you guys can see it, looks kind of small on my screen. But real quick, run through some of these. It says Iran applies for BRICS membership. And so Iran, we got the one of their spokesmen here. So Iran will definitely be accepted with some conditions, I'm sure. But the biggest condition is that you have to agree to utilize our currency swaps and eventually plug your system into the BRICS payment processing network. And you have to make sure that you're willing to move your goods and services through the BRICS organizations at a much more friendlier rate than you would send it out west. So that would be just some of the minimum criteria. But it just talks about the Iran spokesman here. Okay, not the only one. And also we got Argentina. So 2 new countries to join or to apply. So it'll be Iran and Argentina. So Argentina's president currently in Europe has in recent days reiterated his desire for Argentina to join the BRICS. So we all saw this coming. I think I mentioned this before, but yeah, the BRICS is growing and the West is losing this narrative. Anyway, keep it going. A couple articles here. Let me get to the last one here. So this is how things are going to end up. This is where it gets ugly. And so we have the G7 and the BRICS theater. There's like this. I mean, I think ultimately they're all on the same page. They're all operating in unison to accomplish one thing, to make sure that they more than convince 7.8 billion people that there's conflict and there's a reason for this conflict. So the West think it's Putin, and then the East know it's the dollar and Biden and all those other people. So everybody got somebody to point the blame to. But then we get to the possible grand finale as to how this thing might play out. And it doesn't end pretty when empires end. We all know that. NATO to put 300,000 troops on high alert in response to who? Oh, I wonder who? Russia threat. And so this just the fact NATO is still in existence. And the enemy was always the Soviet Union first. Now it's Russia. And it's just a matter of time for something happens and there end up being a real hot war that will leave possibly millions of people no longer in the land of the living. That's how serious this will get. So we're going to get all this. All this is fun and games until lives are lost. And I think the way things are shaping out, the West especially would love to see something like this because it'll really seal the deal with some type of event that will lead to either the Federal Reserve needing to pivot backwards and say, hey, everything was going fine, but yet Russia, China, now we need to support. And they're going to try to get that patriotic stuff again like they did with the health situation 2 years ago. It's your patriotic duty to go, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to for your loved ones. We wouldn't. Anyway, so you guys get where I'm going with all that. So nothing new here. You guys knew what's going on. But let's open the phone line. So let's talk. So we got about 145 people on here. Appreciate everybody for joining me. For those who came in late, let me just do a quick recap. I want to make sure I keep everybody plugged in. There's opportunities for you guys to participate directly. So I'm looking for questions. You got RTD. Throw me some questions. I would love to answer them on air or on a little video. And if I don't know the answers, I'll do my research because I love doing research, and I'll get you an answer. And then also this Wednesday, I'm going to have David Morgan and John Perez on. And so you guys can throw some questions at those guys, and I'll play it on air. So a little video clip here. And then also, if you've been a part of the community for any length of time, here's another tab for a testimonial. I would love for you to just share, 1 or 2 things that you've learned or been able to gather from here or has helped improve your situation. And so there's a chance to give a little testimony there, and I'll share it amongst the community as well. And then also start next week, as I mentioned, late nights will be on a new platform, uncensored, community friendly. It's going to be, the goal is to get off of YouTube completely. And, so if you guys want to come, definitely be there because, things are changing and I want to get ahead of the curve because there will be a information purge happening real soon. It will happen. And I want to make sure I'm not caught in the midst of it. I want to already have been diversified off of the mainstream systems just in case. And that's one of the things you can't escape. And this is where it comes down to. We can't escape the craziness, the madness, because we're all on the same planet. We share the same air, but we can slow down things and buy some more time, which in my regards, when it comes to sharing information, it can help me reach more people because believe me, this is what's going to happen. Let me give you some scenarios. When the system officially breaks, Now, it's not a matter of if, it's just when. Personally speaking, under the surface, it's already broken. It's flood like if we were to so above the ground is all the things the Fed is speaking, all the markets, up, down, up, down. Underground, underneath the cement, there is infrastructure is broken out, it's flooded, it's bad. I mean, it's just it's bad down there. It hasn't made its way up yet. And just to shine more light on that, on Friday with Oliver Reich, the interview I did with him, where he laid out the whole reverse repo overnight situation and basically said that if the Fed did not allow that overnight lending or borrowing for the reverse repos, then we would already have hyperinflation. And he was like, if they really begin drawing down to their balance sheet like they say they will, we automatically will have a stock market crash. It's like it's happened. He showed the graphs. It's happened every single time over the last 2 times they've attempted to dial, or one time they attempted to dial back, but other times there was liquidity issues. The stock market crash. So anywhere it go, whether we go up with the repo activity, that means more inflation. And if they decide to pull down, that means crash. So take your pick. No matter what, it's not going to be pretty. And so what does that mean? Moving forward, it's going to be a lot of people looking for answers, looking for, why is this happening? How did this happen? Because they just don't see it coming. And at that moment, it's my opinion that censorship will take a whole new level, because missing, dissing information will be labeled in the financial sector, because they're going to want to say it was this person, that person. And if you got people coming out pointing to the fact that it's quite obvious, it's, the centrally controls monopolized currency, then you got a chance at disrupting their narrative. And I think they've learned a lot about this whole health situation, how more people have believed the alternative doctors than or the doctors that were willing to come forward than they do the Fauci. So it's hard for them to control the narrative with social media. So it's going to be a crackdown like we've never seen before, in my opinion. So anyway, all right, let me get the phone lines open real quick. Let's talk. Let me get this up here. And as always, for those that are plugged in, hit the thumbs up button, show your support for the channel. Phone lines are open. Let's talk. Lots of things worth touching on. Would definitely love to hear some thoughts, or highlight at Rethinking a Dollar in the chat, and I would try my best to answer any questions if I can. The hotspot will be Iran. It says the hotspot will be Iran. The Russians and Chinese will arm Iran with nukes against the U.S. empire's greatest ally, the nation of priests. Rolf, man, anything's possible. I just saw an article, I think. Let me verify this. Let me see. This is Iran to enrich uranium with somebody's help. Let me see if this is correct. Resume this week. Okay, no. So Iran nuclear talks. Iran and U.S. heading to Qatar. No. So let me see. Iran enrich uranium. Now 18 times more than nuclear deal. Okay, so here's just something here. Iran to enrich. So here's an article here about the enrichment. Iran's enrichment uranium now 18 times more than nuclear deal limits, UN watchdog says. So I wouldn't be surprised that they already got enough to do whatever it is they wanted to do to defend themselves, or to escalate something if they needed to. So mind you, we've been talking about this whole Ukraine uranium situation for over a decade. Why would people not think that they've already accumulated enough to actually be able to go nuclear, or enriched it enough to where they can, let something pop off? I'm not a, nuclear physicist, but I'd imagine, it's not hard to get you a little something in a bottle to create some type of boom. That's just my opinion, but yeah. Anyway, let's talk. So if you give me a call, phone lines are open. We'd love to hear what's going on. TB, thumbs up. Yeah, for sure. If you guys have not already, feel free to bless your boy with a thumbs up. I would definitely appreciate that. NATO gets slayed. U.S. Empire says gold is Barbara's relic, nothing. Yeah. And so that it's been more to me. It's been more than enough stories to see how gold has already been implemented as an anchor. Like the standard has already been set. It was set years ago when people started running to it, as far as governments trying to get hold of their gold, get it out of the Fed's hands. That was a clear indication that the standard was back on. It just hasn't been officially announced yet. What we got here? Why no love on Afghanistan? What we talking about there? Not sure. Red Mercury. That's some. I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about no Red Mercury. What else we got out here? Matthew questions. Matthew 6:6 thoughts. Let me look up Matthew 6:6. I like how LBP be in his word though. Matthew 6:6. Where we at? Let me get to the Matthew 6:6. 6:6. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to the Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. So LBP? What are your thoughts on that? Question and thoughts. If you're referring to the prayer, that scripture there, it just refers to how before that, Jesus was basically making a comparison to the Sadducees and the religious leaders, how they love praying out on the corners for the praise of men. And he said that at that moment, doing that for that reason, they received their reward already, which was just the admiration of their fellow men. When they go to the corners and look like they are the holiest on the planet, they've got their reward. But he said, don't be like them. Your Father, when you pray to him, go in your house, keep it to yourself. You don't need to put it out there. He hears you, he sees you. And if you do that, he'll reward you rather than waiting on man's approval and things of that nature in reference to those religious leaders of the time. What else we got here? It says the U.S. empire has all this love for Ukraine, but no love for all the countries that U.S. empire has attacked and destroyed, like Iraq, Vietnam, and Afghanistan, etc. No doubt, and that's more of an indicator that it's not about the people of Ukraine. It's not about Ukraine. It's just more so. That's, to me, a proxy war. Is just the ultimate distraction that allows them to provide unlimited financial support, which is ultimately funneled into the hands of banks and the military, And it's good to say somehow, some way, there's probably more U.S. politicians that have, investments or own companies, or their mothers, cousins, sisters, brothers are in Ukraine running operations on top of the biolabs and all types of stuff. So the funds is actually going to probably reimburse them for whatever Russia did destroy. So literally the U.S. Ukraine aid is more than likely insurance funds for everybody who's lost something that Putin probably has bombed. So literally, like, the U.S. taxpayers on the hook paying insurance for all the destruction that took place in Ukraine. And it's making its way back into the bank accounts of all the U.S. politicians. And so if it's something even similar to that, and I was crooked and I was at the top, sure, let's do fundraisers for Ukraine. Let's help the Ukrainian people. Because if my pockets get fatter, they just funnel it, they send it over there and put it back in my bank account. Sure, I would too. I mean, so that's how crooked these people are, to where the fact they pledge unlimited support until what, Ukraine wins. It's like, so it's not. And outside of the video footage, like, I will be surprised if there is actually as much devastation as they are showing, because I see other pictures where you got Ukrainians at the beach. It's hot over there. They're at the beach and swimming, and it's like, okay, if it's really like that, you wouldn't have politicians going over there doing face op, photo ops, shaking hands, and you wouldn't have Hollywood actors going to Ukraine shaking hands and like praising Zelensky like he's that deal. Like, that's ridiculous, man. Okay, so let's talk politics a little bit. So how many votes are the Dems going to lose now that the people's PPH is shut down? One punch. So I saw something that it was on Twitter saying something that 1 million, I think that was 1 million. It was 1 million former Democratic voters have turned to the other side. So that's just wherever that stat was coming from. The whole point was highlighting how the Democrats have become so liberal, so radical with theirs, they're automatically turning people off. But then again, I don't think that matters, because votes don't really count. Everybody's predetermined, and the outcomes are selected. And if there's any hang up, they just shut the server down, do some ballot counts, and then so the score just boom. So like is all that I think, to me personally, that's smoke and mirrors. That's like just smoke and mirrors. It's tradition. Literally, it's tradition. Like voting was been tradition, because I would imagine if we were to go back in time and see how the outcome of a lot of elections, whether it be local or at the federal level, have been altered, swayed. I'm not a, I can't prove this, but because of the lack of trust in a system that's so strong, I would be willing to put something on it if I was a betting man, that we haven't had a true outcome of election in quite some time. Even the ones that probably were in favor of the people you probably were in support of. Because every single politician, every president, in my opinion, was predetermined to be in office for a certain period to do what they were ultimately set to do, because it didn't matter what party it was. Like, so here we got all the presidents, and this is a variety, left, Democrat, Republican, whatever parties they are. The Federal Reserve always was the financier for our government indebtedness. So it didn't matter if it was, raising taxes, lowering taxes, excuse me, just because the next president would come in and would undo whatever was did, which was still, increase the monetary supply. So it doesn't matter. But what does matter, and what nobody really seems to want to touch on, is that with all the CBDC talk and Jerome Powell now talking about the need to really start looking into this, that is a clear indication of what I've been saying for years now, as to how Jerome Powell and Joe Biden, under this regime, this will be the last time we actually are used to or familiar with using paper. And the paper will be faded out within a 2, 3, 4, or 5 year time span. They're going to ultimately just stop printing it. And they're going to come up with excuses, shortages, paper shortages, because paper, I'm sure, is going to be some shortages. So we can't print notes. So, the best thing to do is just download your wallet and we'll directly drop something in your hands and you'll be good. So that's how crazy stuff is, man. But anyway, let's get to some calls. Let me see here. Hello, caller. Where are we calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's Coach Corpus Christi. How's it going?
LBP, doing good, my man. Let me get the phone. Let me get my volume up. What's up, my man? How you doing?
Good. I got a very touchy subject. If we could talk about it, it's about the Supreme Court.
Feel free.
Okay. Look, they're gonna overturn the gay marriage thing. The original case was a case where it was like sodomy,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was in Georgia or something back in the old 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I had all the cases, but I forgot them. And then it got overturned with Texas versus another person who they overturned the sodomy law in Texas, and that's how the whole gave the opening for the gay marriage thing. And marriage certificates, they're issued by states, not by federal government.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about that? What's going to happen there?
Okay. So that's my first time this is being brought to my attention, question wise. But I just put an article real quick. Just typed in, Supreme Court legalizes same-sex marriage, and this was 2019. So other than seeing how, so from what you've gathered, like this is going to be on the table next as far as what they're talking about, or you think, or your suspicion is that they're going to undo this in the future, near future.
Suspicion is they're going to undo it because it's not. I don't know if it's a constitutional right, marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they consider it expression or if, because being married is not really expressing anything.
Yeah.
That's applying for a certain state. That's applying like for a license or a certificate.
Yeah. So it's hard to tell. My suspicion would be, if they really want to continue to disrupt and divide the nation, then sure, this could probably be brought up again. And I could see them deliberately deciding to unwind all these controversial prior decisions, just because, we already have the women and men right now going at it over their body, their choice. And so why not have, the LGBT community also out in the streets, because that's once you get the LGBTQ out there, and you got the, then of course, I mean, they're gonna have to do something about racism. Like, it just seems like, okay, the KKK or Black Panther, some type of George Soros funded gonna come to, and like, I mean, they need as many distractions as possible. And so so this is off subject, but so I wouldn't be surprised if that comes up and it gets talked about. Why not? But the most important things is whatever it is, it's going to be a complete reframing of the Constitution. So first, they got to get rid of freedom of speech, i.e. disinformation, social media. That's going to be a crackdown coming. They're going to cancel channels. They're going to do all types of stuff for that. Second one, they're starting to make progress with the gun bill. It just passed. Biden's about to sign it. So that, that's step one. You know what I'm saying? Then step two. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. You out. Constitution is gone. Anarchy takes place. Civil unrest. Civil war. I mean, that's all in the cards. They want to be natural looking. They want it to be natural. They don't want to make it look so obvious, like, like we're doing this. No, we want to make it seem like, we have uprisings, and we got these, radical, mind you, people who are Trump supporters are already marked and tagged as extremists and terrorists. So they are already categorized as an infringing group. That's, the January 6th type of people. So they are out there too. So it's going to turn into a real crap show, if I can say it that way.
There you go, Mike. Look, Mike, the whole Roe versus Wade, the protest or whatever they call it,
Mm-hmm.
It has to be staged, Mike, because look, the whole court case and everything about it only affects women, and the only men that really that are for abortion or whatever you want to say
Mm-hmm.
on that side,
Yeah.
they're beta man anginas, they can't do nothing, so they're not gonna fight, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so I saw a video earlier about there was somebody out in the streets and they got attacked. Like somebody was, I think it was let me see. I don't know who it was, but they were attacked by a group in black outfits, and it was somebody protesting this whole Roe versus Wade stuff. So I'm thinking, like, what are these men in black outfits out here beating up on a woman for? Like, what do you say? Like, what do you? So other than the fact they're paid, they're probably agents. You never know. So anything that causes destruction and distractions is on the table. Never count anything out. So it won't make sense. It's just the way they want it, man. So everything is done intentional. Nothing's about happening by accident, man. You know that.
Yeah, that's the truth. All right, Mike.
Appreciate you, man.
Taking my call.
Yep.
All right, bye.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Nothing is happening by accident. Everything is intentional. Yeah, we're approaching some very interesting times, man. We're already living in very interesting times, but they're just becoming more emotionally charged. More people now are angrier than probably in any time. And on top of that, when you get paid to be angry, like they got crisis actors out there, like it's a profession. Like I think I saw something, you get paid good to go places and pretend like you care. You know what I'm saying? Like, hello, caller, where we calling from?
Yeah, what's up, man? I just was hearing your speech, man. I'm always tuned in, man. I'm in the chats.
Appreciate
in the
you, man.
Discord and the Telegram. I wanted to say, man, yeah, it's crazy because the technocracy
Mm-hmm.
that they want to put us in,
Mm-hmm.
they got to first start with, taking away our rights to speech. But the thing is, the problem is the youth and people out here, they're not using their freedom correctly. Like you go on apps like Reddit,
Mm-hmm.
or, wherever social media people post, stuff they shouldn't be posting. They're not speaking about, real world problems. Like right now in New York City, we got Mayor Adams targeting drill music, targeting rap videos. Now, not to say that's productive,
Yeah.
but they have to start somewhere. And my thing is, once the rights is taken away, then once you speak against them and their solution, because we all know the problem that they created,
Right.
and the solution that they gave us.
Right.
The solution is force. The problem didn't have to be forced, but it's all about order out of chaos. You feel me?
Right.
So first the chaos, then comes the order. My thing is, if we know what chaos is ensued, how can we properly prepare for the chaos? Because we already know what's coming. We already know that there's going to be a shift in the global power structure. We already know that America is going to be, taken down. Mystery Babylon. The dollar's going to have to crash in order for the global currency,
Yeah.
which I wanted to state is going to be powered by blockchain. It's
Right.
obvious that Bitcoin and crypto is going to be the new currency. We see it going up. We see it going down. We know it's going to be up because it shouldn't even be that high because
Right.
it's being paired and compared with our currency, which is going down.
Right.
So if one thing goes down, it only makes sense for something else to go up.
Right. 100%, man.
I
No, go ahead.
yeah.
No, so I was gonna say,
I just wanted to. All right, I'm listening.
no, you go ahead. You go ahead. I'll let you go ahead. I'll answer your question when you're done. Go ahead.
No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, man, but a lot of people think, there's a microchip, and there actually is a patent. Bill Gates has a patent called
Yep.
060606,
Yep.
which actually gives you cryptocurrency for body activity data.
Right.
So that body activity data could be a smartwatch tracking you jog. It could be a chip.
Mhm.
It could be anything. It could be you plugged into a computer, and we're living in the matrix.
Right.
And while Bill Gates is, in his farmland riding horses, we can be plugged in the matrix, taking booster shot after booster shot. But let me hear the answers, man, because I appreciate your podcast.
For sure, man. No, I got you, but I'll answer some of my thoughts on that off air, man. Appreciate you calling and sharing that. Yeah. Good stuff. Lots of things in there. So let me just one thing I did from about knowing that everything is unraveling, knowing that they're deliberately destroying things. How do those who are aware better protect and persevere through this? And so, like I've said before, ultimately, you can do as much natural preparations as possible because we know supply chains is going to be completely disrupted. They're literally going to try to starve humanity out so that people will become begging for whatever they are able to receive. And then it'll be no problem to sign up for the CBDC type of thing, because if you lose everything else, then all you have is handouts. Government's ultimately trying to be our Lord and Savior. And so how do you prepare for that? Ultimately, right now is to stay ahead of the curve by doing a little bit extra as far as just, being able to buy yourself some time, because you can't completely shield yourself from what's coming. And biblically speaking, for my believers out there, you don't have to necessarily worry about those things because it was already in the cards. But then again, through all that, provision is promised for those that are expecting it. So ultimately, get your faith up. Then from there, get your ammo, get everything up that you know you need ahead of time, and ultimately put it all in the hands of the Lord. And of course, if you can do things such as, getting out of cities, that'd be ideal. I believe that's one thing that's valid. And trying to hunker down, getting your skill game up so you can sustain yourself as best you can. That's a start. But beyond that, mankind has never faced what we're about to witness, just because it hasn't happened in every single country on the planet before. So we are going to have a real world learning case, a real world learning experience with what's happening in real time. So that's the best I can say. But ultimately, in between now and then, be grateful for what you have. And like one of my models is get more spiritually in tune so that I could be of assistance to other people, because other people will definitely be needing some answers. And I want to do my best to point them in the right direction to give them hope. But then also back to the CBDC question. Here is a overview. If I can put it on my screen, here is an overview of what's out there already, what's active, what's not, and what's coming. So this is CBDCTracker.org, and this is a pretty legit website. And it gives you the current status of every single cryptocurrency, CBDC digital currency out there. And so we got the blue is launched. And so blue here is Nigeria's launched already, the Naira, and the Bahamian dollar is already launched. Those are the two running projects. So I will be covering more of those just to see the functionality, what's some of the restrictions, what's some of the fine print that we don't hear about. So I definitely will be diving more into them. And then the purple is a proof of concept, meaning that there's something on the table, they're running it on the back end, and they're waiting on an event probably to roll it out. So Brazil has the digital real. Australia has they have two projects. They have the Project Atom, and which will probably turn into Australian CBDC. Then we got Kazakhstan got approved. We got Ukraine, Sweden, e-Corona. So everybody got approved. And then the green one is in research. So the U.S., there's Project Hamilton, which is led by MIT. And more than likely, I believe it's the real Fed coin or EUSD is already done. They just have to make it look like they're doing this last minute research because we need it because whatever we need it for. And then Philippines was canceled, and Ecuador, or I'm sorry, Peru. No, let me see. This ain't Peru. What is this? Ecuador. That's Peru. Peru is canceled. Okay, so that's just the status as of today. So just so everybody knows, and I think I was probably looking at the wrong. Yep, I was looking at the wrong chart. So forgive me. I'm looking at the wrong chart, but you guys can see on you guys can see on the screen. All right, what else we got here? Let me check in real quick. More voting drop boxes needed. Yeah, and then, man, those Dominion voting services. Like, I will be very surprised if we go from what's going to be July on Friday up to November. That's 5 months, and there not be some type of unraveling. Because think about this, still just waiting on the Fed's narrative. Will they pivot? Will they not pivot? I don't think they will. I think they're going to continue on, and they're relying upon some type of event. And I think why that's what this G7 push is so urgent. Let's get over here. Let's get involved. Let's try to disrupt any activity happening in between Russia and China and whatever. And let's, if they accidentally or intentionally step on the operations or disrupt some things and drop a bomb somewhere, that's all the event we'll need for everything to go complete opposite direction. Because ultimately, I'd be very surprised. Yeah, Tony, I apologize for that wrong screen. I apologize for that. But CBDCTracker.org is the place where you guys can go. So I'll be very surprised if we get out of this year and there not be some type of systemic event, just because the spigot is not flowing in the direction it needs to flow, because they're deliberately withholding, even though they're still buying bonds and they're so-called raising rates as if that really mattered. But that definitely tightens the spigot even more as far as just the excess, because the market's been used to so much just slush funds running around, and it's gonna take the crypto market down so low. Because when it comes to preserving and protecting the legacy system, I think that's more important overall than a new asset class, i.e. the digital asset space. Even though all the billionaires are already out of the stock market, you got the pension funds and retirement funds that are still out there. And speaking of which, let me share something with you real quick. I think is worth touching on. I'll get on it in a minute, but like I've been talking about pensions forever, because I feel for the 70 plus million boomers out there that will get caught up in the trap. But anyway, so here's an article from Wall Street Journal, and let me close. I got too many dang windows open. All right, so Wall Street Journal. Here's an interesting article here. If you guys are interested, it says pension funds plunge into riskier bets just as the markets are struggling. And when you hear about some of the stats here and the deficits these things are running, really makes you think, boy. It really makes you think. Hello, caller. Where you calling from? Let me get somebody on here. Hello.
Hello, how you going, Mike? This is Dwayne from the Midwest. What's going on, buddy?
Wayne, doing good, my man. What's on your mind?
Not much, man. I was listening to your topic, man. I saw you was talking about the gay marriage thing, where they where they get rid of gay marriage. I think, and I know you're a believer, man. This is just my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Most High gave us some reprieve,
mm-hmm.
just enough to where people can make their decisions.
Yeah.
Because it's going to go to the states, and the people are going to have to vote on it.
Right.
So if the people vote on, my position is, I'll come from a biblical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
We view it as murder. I just want to say that off the top so I don't offend any of your audience out there.
Right.
That's just my take on it. So I view it as murder. So if the people decide, sort of like when Jesus was on getting ready to go to the cross, and the people decided to give us Barabbas right before Jerusalem was destroyed.
Right.
Well, the people made that choice.
Right.
I really do think that we're in a serious time where God is going to let the people make his choice.
That is definitely, that's a plausible That's a plausible suggestion there. Like I wouldn't put it past. And so, yeah, and I think we're going to really find out which states are on board and which are not. And then as a result of that, I can then see there being some grounds to further divide the states, i.e. some type of division, West succeed. I'm sorry, Texas look to succeed and other states, and they have a East versus West. I mean, it could be it can be deliberately done to cause chaos because there's going to be an agendas spread throughout all those states, and the outcome will be questionable, to the at least in some states. But anyway, just more division. No matter what, it will not. There's nothing that can be done that will bring us together right now, and that's the problem.
No, I'm beyond that, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the end.
Yeah.
Nuclear war, ashes.
Yeah.
I'm talking about God's judgment. I'm
Yeah.
talking about forget a state, forget about because if you really want to get technical about it, Magog and Gog, which is Russia,
mm-hmm.
they're mentioned in the Bible.
Right.
The United States is not really mentioned in the Bible unless you compare it to Babylon, which is, people make that comparison.
Right.
But the United States is not mentioned in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're dealing with a nation who has a potential, who have a blood-filled lust to murder, you have a society that's lust to murder. God gets rid of societies. He's gotten rid of people before. When you read this, I believe it's the second verse in Deuteronomy.
Mm-hmm.
When you read that chapter in Deuteronomy, you'll see when he divided up the lands and gave a land to the Edomites, gave land to Israel, gave land to the Amorites, gave land. He was saying that there were great nations that I put that was on his land before you, but I got rid of them and I gave them to this nation.
Right. Yeah.
So we can become extinct, is what I'm saying.
Right.
As a nation, like there's no absolute. There's no absolute in a second, a minute. There's no absolute that we can become a nation. So I'm just saying, this is a wake up call for true believers to pray, preach the gospel. The Bible says, if the people are lost, their minds are hidden, they're blinded by the God of this world. To try to wake up as many people as it can, because I really believe that God is a just God.
Right.
He'll let you pick your poison.
Right.
And I believe we're at a place where we're going to, he's going to give it up to the people because he did it before.
Right.
He tell me, whose side are you on?
Good point, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you.
It.
Appreciate you, man.
No problem.
Yep.
Take it easy.
Be good.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Yeah. Like Bitcoin was created by God's inspiration. Yeah, man. And that's the thing, gold, silver, Bitcoin, when stuff really gets serious, yeah, most people are not going to be concerned with any type of monetary issues whatsoever. You're going to be thinking about your next daily bread. And of course, at that point, everybody will, unfortunately, when the stuff hits the fans, when everybody get religious, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's avoid that. Let's be more in tune with our spiritual life right now. Like, that's another thing. Like, I know a lot of people, especially this is primarily a financial news source, but it's only so much you can talk about gold, silver, money, crypto, Bitcoin. I mean, it's just like it's there. Once if you got it, you're good. Now what else do you talk about? You know what I'm saying? Like, waiting on gold and silver to go to the moon, then what else do you talk about? Like, that's where like a lot of people on the social media sphere, I'm real leery. I'm like, if the people that you get your most detailed information from financially only talk about how to protect yourself with worldly things, then they're not doing you they're not giving you the full scope. If they never mention the importance of the spiritual things, regardless of whatever they believe, just meditation or something, just to help you be able to make it through tough times. You know what I'm saying? Money will not help you get through tough times. It'll make things easier, get you some resources more but it's not going to help you in the way that your psychological gain will be impacted. Anyway, all right, let's get this last call, and then we will dial back. Hello, caller. Where are we calling from?
Yeah, man, I'm calling from New York, man. One more time, I'm hearing what you're talking about with the money and how it's not going to get us through.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say the money is a man-made system. If you trace the roots of money, money was backed by gold. I think I've said this before on this podcast.
Right.
Money now is basically a loan, basically to the bank, for us to know that the money is worth something when the banks themselves don't even really ensure that the money is having value,
right?
Whether it be bounce checks or fake loans. And we got to see the real division. The reason why there's so much division in America is because of the Zionists, the Jews, the terrorists. Definitely, I wouldn't say, any party supporters, but they add to it because the left and right, them arguing over political issues when really we should be on the same side, which is the United States. But we all know the United States has crashed. Depopulation has to happen. The George Guidestones, they want to have their 500 million population. And not everybody's going to be able to run to the jungle, build a hut, and be Tarzan. People are gonna flood. They're gonna flood to the camps. They're gonna take the solution. And best believe that if you have a friend that's gonna need a piece of bread, and you so-called speaking out, they're gonna rat you out, and you're gonna be having to explain yourself to the New World Order. You're gonna have to explain yourself to that one world government. I don't know about abortion and all these new issues. All I know is that men have transgressed the law, the 10 Commandments in the Bible, whether it be the Torah, the Bible, the Quran. There's always going to be a certain commandment, and men are always going to transgress.
Yeah.
There's spiritual wickedness in high places because you see these men that have this money, they have this power. When they have the riches, they don't sit down and say, all right, I think I've had enough.
Yeah.
No rappers gonna sit down and say, all right, I'm gonna settle for one girl. They're gonna sit down, they're gonna want more power, and they're taking away our guns now so that when they come down and they go for the power grab, we're not gonna be able to fight back, and we're gonna be so busy fighting each other over nonsense like game territory or who has this, who's wearing that, who's wearing the Yeezys. You Jordans, and now look at this. Now they're coming, they're swooping down.
Oh my goodness!
They're gonna send the drones in, and we're gonna have to. You feel me? We're gonna have to build that hut like Tarzan.
Yeah. Hey man, appreciate you, man. Call it back.
Man.
Be good. Yeah, man. Interesting. We have an idea of what could play out, but nobody knows for sure, and that's why I think it's good just to play out scenarios and pray to God we're all wrong. But ultimately, it's one thing to be caught up in the cares of this life, but for my people who, have hope and the promise given to us from your spiritual foundation, you realize that, more than likely there will be a large amount of casualties of some kind, whether starvation, food, whatever. At some point, you're not destined to live here forever. So, the worst thing is you leave here, then you really find out what you really believe in. You know what I'm saying? You really find out what you're made of when stuff gets real. And that's where it's like, in this life is temporary, man. Enjoy it while you got it. But yet there's a time to exit for all of us. So just make sure that you are confident in your final destination, wherever that takes you. And that's, of course, one of the things I want to make sure I get on, man, just encourage people, as a believer in Christ and the importance of really focusing on the kingdom and the power available to us now. I think we are capable still of changing some things. And I think the more we give ourselves over to something greater than ourselves, we can uncover some things about ourselves as well as make a difference for other people. That's what it's all about for me, man. All right. So let's get ready to dial back. As always, I appreciate everybody. For those that are just plugged in, let me make sure I'm interested to see if people want to plug in, but I'm doing an RTD Q&A. So if you have questions, thoughts, ideas about any subject matter, it'll help me with my research. So feel free to click the link beneath this video here. Click this little purple button, do a little face with a question or something like that. And definitely I would love to do a video on it or have it on the next live stream. And then also, if you've been a part of the community, we'd love to give a little testimony via video. There's also a link to click this purple button to share your experience being a part of the community. And then if you haven't already, make sure you sign up for the rtdlocals.com. Starting next Monday, live streams in the evening will be on that channel. So it can be a little bit more relaxed. Just because I'm not worried about anything over there, and looking forward to diversifying off of YouTube. Just because pretty soon I don't think most financial / truth speaking channels will be around. But anyway, that's all she wrote for this evening. Be blessed, be safe. Back at it tomorrow, and I would encourage you, if you haven't already, last couple of days put out some pretty good videos. Man, watch those things. Further educate yourself. Take those videos, share it with your family and friends so people can find out what's going on and you'll be playing your part. At least you're trying to just help wake people up. That's all. All right, people. Be blessed. Be safe. See you guys later. Peace.